All right, so we have temperature tested the BigFrig 20-ounce tumbler, and it held ice for a little over 24 hours in an 80-degree basement. From full, there was still a little bit of ice left in it. Could have went a few more hours, probably been perfectly fine. Still would have been ice cold. I tried it last night with heat. I put hot water off the coffee pot, about 160 degrees in it, set it out on the front porch. It was anywhere from 20 to 16 degrees overnight for about 6 to 7 hours, and I checked it in the morning. It's about 84 degrees, so it will hold heat for quite a long time too. Now this kind of pains me to do though, because it's a brand new tumbler, but I think we got to figure out how tough this thing is. Let's do this. Making coffee in the morning. Oops. No shocker there. Let's try a little higher. And what happens when you're doing a little housework? You set your coffee down and you forget. Oops. Well, all the liquid came out, but as I can see, there is no real major damage. A little bit of scuffing from the concrete. The lid popped out. It is okay. It's a little scuffed up right there from smacking the edge of the concrete, but boy howdy, it held together. Well, next test. You ever left your cup on top of your truck? Had it fall off while you're cruising down the road? See what happens. All right, well, got a little more dinged up there. Got a nice scuff right there. A little bit in the edge, but altogether, a few dents in the bottom, no big deal. The lid got a little chewed up, a little more than last time, but all in all, it's solid. So next test. After it falls off, you gotta back up and check on it, right? What do you think's gonna happen? Well, that did quite a bit of damage, but not a lot. A little dinged up. Yeah. Lid stayed on. Well, let's say you go target shooting and you forget where you put your coffee cup. You make a bad shot. Well, that's probably a bad idea. It's not quite arrow proof, but held up to everything else. So what did we learn? Well, we learned if you want a tough, well-built tumbler that's gonna keep your drink hot or cold, you should probably head on over to BigFrig. That's right, I'm recommending it. Why? Because you drop it off the counter. Well, sure, you can drop a lot of things off the counter. Cool. You can drop it off a ladder at a job site completely full. Still perfectly fine. Now, you can forget it on top of your vehicle. Bounce off the road, gets a little road rash. No big deal. The lid and the tumbler is still intact. You can even run it over when you go back to look for it. And it is just gonna be a little crushed in. That's it, just a little crushed in on the sides though, okay? There's no deformation. The lid still goes in and out. There's no deformation in this thing, okay? But whatever you do, don't leave it unattended on the archery range. Didn't end well. Now, granted, this whole thing was just kind of a fun little thing to see how much this really could take. Not much is going to stop the arrow, especially when it comes to drinkware. So don't take this as a, oh man, this thing just didn't hold up. Of course the arrow went through it. That was the whole point of doing the torture test, was I wanted to see how far I could push this thing before I broke it. And I'm telling you right now, I'm incredibly impressed. Because like I said, it's not deformed, okay? The lid still goes on and off. I could have still used this thing had I not ran an arrow through it. But, I mean, what's a torture test without breaking it, right? But honestly, if you want a tough tumbler that's gonna keep your drink hot and cold, this well-built, the lid, still fine. Everything on the lid still works, okay? You need to head on over to BigFrig.